The vast wave of would-be immigrants into Europe has seemed unprecedented, and yet this sort of thing has been happening again and again for 100 years. When Germany invaded Belgium in 1914, 1 million people fled the country, and 250,000 came to Britain. After 1945, an estimated 12 million ethnic Germans fled Eastern Europe. They took refuge in East and West Germany. During the Kosovo conflict in 1998 and 9, hundreds of thousands of ethnic Albanians fled abroad. But there is something new and different about this current wave.
I think it's a crisis of politics rather than numbers. What's dramatic about today is this is the first time Europe has faced people coming outside of Europe in large numbers as refugees. So the fact that many are Muslims, that they're from the Middle East, is perceived often as threatening, as challenging Europe's identity.
Even so, for centuries now, Britain, like the rest of Europe, has accepted great waves of immigrants, and each time it's needed at least a generation to absorb them. This process of absorption has never been as great as it is now, with more than 300 languages being spoken in the schools here in London. Yet with each new wave of immigrants, the basic reaction to them seems exactly the same.
The Asians arrived in cold, wet weather at Stansted.
We saw this divided response when almost 60,000 Ugandan Asians were forced out by Idi Amin in the 1970s. Some people welcomed them, others didn't.
Oh, if there was room, there was houses, there was jobs, I would say nothing about it. Nothing at all. But again, I say that we have too many coloured people in this country to be absorbed in our community at this time.
That hasn't always been the international response. After the Vietnam War, the Vietnamese boat people, fearing communist persecution, sought refuge abroad, and the United States persuaded the outside world to accept them. That was then.
We have a global problem, which is poor global governance, if you like, at the multilateral level. It's the rise of other powers. The US doesn't have the influence it had. And the big powers don't agree fundamentally on some of these big issues, and Syria is a classic example. So the problems are not being fixed. No one can come in with the big stick and sort it out. And therefore we're left picking up the pieces in ways which are extremely difficult to deal with.
An entire century of exile and homelessness. The pictures are remarkably similar. So's the cause, conflict and bad government. Unless they're dealt with, the flow won't stop. John Simpson, BBC News.